All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever stopped to think about how a huge company, with all those moving parts, actually decides on anything? I mean, it all comes down to one thing: turning this absolute mountain of daily data, we're talking every single sale, every order, every little shipment, into a real winning strategy up in the boardroom.
And that's the big puzzle for pretty much every company out there today. It's not just about grabbing tons of information. The real trick is making sense of it all, turning that raw data into something you can actually do something with. So the big question is, how do they do it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the 3 core information systems that are the secret sauce behind all of this. We're going to start right down on the ground floor and climb our way up level by level all the way to the top.
So where do we start? Well, you got to start at the foundation, right? Let's talk about the systems that are busy capturing every single thing that happens in a business.
First up, we're heading into what I like to call the engine room, the transaction processing system, or TPS for short. This is where all the action happens, day in, day out. We're talking about the systems used by the frontline folks, the cashiers, the people in the warehouse, the clerks taking orders. Their job? To capture every little detail. These systems are all about answering those immediate, nitty-gritty questions. Like, hey, how many of those blue widgets did we actually sell this morning?
Okay, let's make this real. Picture this. You're online, you see the new Star phone, and you decide to buy it. The second you click that buy button, the TPS kicks into gear. Instantly, it logs your order. Then it follows that order through the warehouse as it's being picked and packed. It makes a note the moment it's shipped out, and of course, it records your payment. Every single one of those steps gets captured as its own little piece of data. It's happening constantly.
And here's the cool part. Once you know what a TPS is, you'll start seeing them absolutely everywhere. Seriously. That checkout scanner at the grocery store? That's a TPS. The system that makes sure you get paid on time? TPS. The website you used to book your last flight, or even just the shopping cart you added something to online a minute ago. Yep, all classic examples of a transaction processing system, just humming along in the background, capturing data.
Now, the really crucial thing to get about a TPS is that it's what we call deterministic. That sounds fancy, but it's simple. Think of it like a light switch. You flip it up, the light turns on. You do it again, same thing happens, every single time. With a TPS, if you put the same correct information in, you are always going to get the same predictable result back out. There's no guesswork here, no human judgment. It's all just following a strict set of rules.
Okay, so we've laid the foundation. We have all this raw data. Now let's start climbing the pyramid to the next level to see what happens to it. We're about to enter the world of management information systems, or what's known as MIS.
And right away, you see this huge transformation happen. All that super detailed transaction-by-transaction data from the TPS, it's not really useful for a manager who needs to see the bigger picture. So what does the MIS do? It takes all that data and summarizes it. We're making a big shift here, from just recording what is happening right now to monitoring how are we doing overall. The audience is different, and the whole purpose has changed.
So, you might be asking, how does an MIS actually do this? Well, think of it diving into that giant ocean of data that the TPS collected. It scoops it all up, pulls it together, and then it summarizes it. It creates these neat reports that help middle managers, we're talking department heads, regional supervisors, finally see that big picture and make sure their part of the business is running smoothly.
And these reports aren't all the same. They come in a few different flavors. First, you've got your standard scheduled reports. The weekly sales summary that lands on your desk every Monday. Then you have something really cool called exception reports. Think of these as an alarm system. They don't tell you what's going right. They only scream when something is wrong, like, hey, inventory is getting dangerously low. And for all the other one-off questions, managers can run ad hoc reports, which basically lets them dig in and ask super specific questions whenever they need to.
What all this creates is a really powerful cycle: monitor, feedback, control. The managers monitor how things are going using these reports. They get constant feedback on what's working and what's not. And based on that feedback, they can take control and make adjustments to steer things back in the right direction. It's exactly how they keep the ship sailing straight.
All right. So we've covered the ground-level day-to-day stuff, and we've seen how managers get their overview of the near term. Now, it's time to go all the way to the top. Let's ascend to the very peak of the pyramid: decision support.
Now, a decision support system, a DSS, this is a whole different animal. I mean, we are not looking at what happened yesterday anymore. This is a high-level tool built for the senior executives in the C-suite. It's designed specifically to help them wrestle with those huge, messy, what-if questions, the kinds of questions that will literally define the future of the company. Yeah, a DSS is built for the big stuff, these huge, forward-looking questions. Think about it. We're not just asking about sales from last week. We're trying to model the massive, long-term ripple effects of a strategic decision across the entire business. It's a huge shift in thinking.
Or how about a question like this one? You see, there's no easy, single right answer. That's the whole point of a DSS. It lets executives play with different scenarios, change their assumptions, and see what might happen. It gives them the tools they need to navigate all that uncertainty and make a much more informed, strategic bet on the future.
So where does all the information for these predictions come from? Well, a DSS looks in two directions, inward and outward. It grabs all that summarized data from the company's own systems, the MIS and TPS. But here's the crucial part. It then combines that internal data with a ton of external information, things like market research, economic forecasts, what the competition is up to. Then it smashes it all together and runs it through these really sophisticated models to try and map out what the future might look like.
Okay, let's take a breath. We've gone on quite a journey, haven't we? From a single person clicking buy online all the way up to the boardroom asking these huge what-if questions about the future. So now let's step back and put this entire information pyramid into perspective.
And here it is, the whole shebang in one simple view. See how it works? Down at the bottom, at the operational level, you've got the TPS. Its job is to focus on the present, just recording what's happening right this second. Then, that data flows up to the tactical level. That's where the MIS comes in, looking at the near future to help managers monitor and control things. And finally, you reach the strategic peak. The DSS takes all of that information and looks way out into the long-term future to help executives analyze and strategize. But here's a really important catch. None of this, not the TPS, not the MIS, none of it works if the information itself is bad. The entire pyramid from top to bottom is built on that classic principle: garbage in, garbage out. If the data isn't accurate, if it's not timely, if it isn't relevant and reliable, then you just can't make good decisions, period. So at the end of the day, it's all about the flow. You have this raw, detailed data being captured at the very bottom by the TPS. From there, it flows upwards, and at each level, it gets refined, it's processed, it's summarized, it's put into context, transforming from a simple list of transactions into these powerful, strategic insights that guide the whole company. So there you have it, the classic model of how businesses turn data into decisions. But I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What happens when you throw things like artificial intelligence and big data into this mix? How are those powerful technologies going to reshape this neat little pyramid? Are they going to blur the lines between these systems, or maybe even create entirely new levels we haven't even thought of yet? Well, that's a question for the next chapter in this story.